Hello everybody, welcome to Planet Coaster 2 and welcome to a random little time-lapse episode. We're going to have a little bit of a yap. I've got a little backlog of topics to chat about because I don't really do time-lapses that often on the channel anymore, and thought it could be a good opportunity to just have a little chat about state of the game currently after the new DLC, the future of the game, as well as some other random bits and bobs. In the background we've got a little time-lapse of me building a Disneyland Main Street facade for Okie Dokie Games, who is an absolute legend. If you don't watch his YouTube channel already, I highly recommend it. He's very funny, very talented builder, has a really good eye for kind of colours and very strong sense of style, I think. Very cool, kind of bright, colourful, almost cartoony kind of style. And yeah, he's doing a Disney park, kind of original Disney park, and he asked if I wanted to build a facade for the main street. I said yes, absolutely. Seemed like quite a fun thing to do now that we've got the small town theme with the Parades DLC. So yeah, that's what's happening in the background. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. I found a nice reference image and then I just sort of cracked on, put on a podcast, and you'll see the result in the background there. So yeah, speaking of the small town DLC, now that we've had a little bit more time to sit with it, to play with it, I think overall, I still think it's a really good DLC, really strong, probably my favourite DLC for Planet Coaster 2 so far, and I think it's definitely up there just in general in terms of all-time Planet Coaster DLCs, purely just because I love Main Street USA and just like small town America in general, Americana, as you'll know from Steve Town, both the old version and the new version, Wet n Wild. I had a bunch of projects in Planet Coaster 1 that were very much in this kind of style. And yeah, so in my view, it's been, I said this in my preview video, but this whole kind of like theme has been something that's been sorely missing from Planet Coaster in general, including the first game. So I'm just really happy to see it in the game now. And I think the art team at Frontier did an exceptional job. Obviously, as I mentioned in my Steve Town episode, I've got a couple of issues with like the modularity of some of the roof pieces. I wish they were kind of broken up into like middle sections and end sections, and we could, have a little bit more choice about the length and the height of these things. But otherwise, I think the set is like really, really nice. Everything is so nicely put together. All the new like columns and pillars and things. Again, as I mentioned in my scenery video, it would be nice if the windows all had the option for opacity, like these bay windows that I'm using in this build do. But yeah, if you if you look past all of the kind of like classic Frontier issues with it, I think it's a really nice set. There's loads of really nice, very usable pieces in there, and all the kind of Main Street stuff that I've been seeing people make has been really nice to see. And for the parades themselves, I still think they're really cool and really fun. I really enjoyed making them, and it's been really fun watching other people making parades. I was commenting on Mars Bandit's video about how it's really fun the way that it gives you this opportunity to kind of work within a really small space, and you've kind of got carte blanche to be kind of wacky with it and just make something really fun in this really small space, and it kind of forces you to think, to consolidate big ideas into a small space. And because the space is so small, you kind of have to paint with a broad brush and be kind of quite sort of bold, and it's just a new fun way to think about building something. And yeah, it gives you an excuse to kind of go ham with a lot of the scenery pieces, make something really themed and fun and kind of ostentatious. So yeah, been really enjoying that. I think there are some issues with the parades, like it's a shame that guests only kind of gather at the side if you're using the path mode track. I kind of wish I'd experimented a little bit more with that in the time before, in the kind of week and a bit that we had early access. To be honest, it was a bit weird because it was my first time having early access to a DLC, and I had a little bit of almost like stage fright. I wanted to make sure I did something good with it. I think when we got the email with the early access stuff, the first thing I did after installing the beta version of the update was record my scenery overview video, and then after that I literally spent the next few days kind of worrying about what to do basically, and I think as a result of that I ended up stalling for too long, and obviously it didn't end up getting my Steve Town video ready. I didn't get as much progress done in that video as I would have liked to have done, and then the heat wave kicked in and it was just game over basically. Yeah, I went pretty hard on the videos. I think doing the doing the scenery overview and then the features overview, in which I managed to miss the tram, completely forgot the tram even existed. And then I was working on all the stuff for Stevetown, and then we're also having to, I mean, you don't have to, but I also chose to do, videos covering the update drops, doing kind of, talking about the update more broadly, along with Frontier's kind of announcements. So I made a lot of videos in a very short amount of time, basically. And I just overworked myself, overstressed myself out. So yeah, I think whatever the next content drop ends up being, assuming there is one, I think I'll probably go a bit less hard on the videos maybe, and try to kind of knuckle down and just make something good, hopefully. But as I say, I kind of wigged myself out thinking I needed to make something good, and then as a result I spent several days sort of not doing anything. But yeah, I can't remember why I started talking about this now. Oh yeah, the parades. So yeah, I didn't properly explore in my features video everything about the parades, and I didn't discover in that period there that the kind of limitations of it, like the fact that the guests won't gather at the sides of the parade if you don't use the kind of track with the path option. And then obviously the track is quite wide, I think it's 10 meters wide, and then obviously you need to have pathing on either side of that. It doesn't play particularly nicely with if your main street is not flat, then you're gonna have a tough time building the path over the top of that. I think this feature is at its best when you're building a main street from scratch and you're taking the parade into account from the very beginning. Yeah, unfortunately. And it is unfortunate because it does look so cool when you've got the parade going and all the guests are gathering at the path at the sides. So yeah, it's a shame that it's really difficult to kind of retrofit it cleanly into parks, especially parks that don't have a flat main street or have kind of a very narrow main streets. Or it's kind of always the case with Frontier stuff, right? There's always going to be some element of compromise. They're having to retrofit these features into pre-existing parks with all the other pre-existing systems, and I think it's not an enviable task. And in some ways, not to excuse everything that everybody has an issue with, but I think with game development generally, it's kind of a miracle that anything gets done at a big studio where there's lots of layers of management and legal and all that kind of stuff you got to go through to get anything added to the game. Marketing, everything that gets added is going through several layers of filters of people working on the game. And so yeah, I think I'm not excusing the issues, because Lord knows there are always issues, but I think it helps one to stay level-headed and reasonable about these things, to just remind yourself that making stuff is really hard, especially when you're at a big company. So yeah, what was I talking about? That's kind of my rough thoughts on the DLC as a whole. As I said, I really like it. I think the scenery is really good. The rides are really good. Do I wish there had been maybe, another shop would have been nice, a new shop, or some kind of little main street carts would have been cool, like a popcorn cart or something like that. There's numerous ways they could have slightly expanded this set. But it is what it is at this point. As for the future, I mean, I'm not privy to any particular information beyond what we all know about the earnings calls and the financial, whatever it's called, the financial forecast or the financial report. Obviously, we know that they've said that we know from what they've said that there's probably going to be at least one more DLC. Obviously, we don't really know when that's going to be. We've got Planet Zoo coming out later this year, so I suspect that Frontier are going to be kind of up to their eyeballs with it. Whether they'll manage to squeeze out another Planet Coaster pack with all the zoo stuff going on, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not really worried at all, to be honest. It seems from what they've said, at least, they're going to continue supporting the game for the rest of the financial year. Yeah, obviously we don't really know how well this pack is doing at the moment. It's far too early to tell. Hopefully it's doing really well. Certainly the kind of viewer reception from a content creator's viewpoint was very positive. People seem to be really happy, really impressed with it. Yeah, I think I'm not worried about the future of the game at this point. But as always, time will tell. We will see what happens. And then in terms of the future, I do have kind of just my classic list of things I'd like to see added to the game still. which it feels like every time an update rolls around, I think this is going to be the time where, you know, they make the scaling mod part of the base game, and it keeps not happening. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like top of my list right now in terms of, from a features point of view, things I'd really like to see added to the game, just the removal of or the heavily reduced scaling limitations, I think would be so good. And on top of that, scaling of grid pieces, or just like a toggle to switch a grid piece to not be gridded. It would make so many of the roof pieces in particular way more usable. Because besides the like 4x4, I know we all complain about Frontier's like 4-meter scale stuff and how massive everything is, but you know, alongside the fact that all the walls are 4 meters tall, is the fact that the textures are scaled to the 4-meter kind of system. So a lot of the roof pieces, but also like all the like brick walls and things, you know, the bricks are like too large basically. So it would be really nice to be able, and obviously with walls it's less of an issue because they give us these like off-grid wall pieces in all the sets now, which you can scale. They're kind of difficult to use in a lot of cases because if you need to build like a gable, for example, and you want to use the kind of triangular gable pieces, you can't scale those, so then you're going to have this kind of mismatch between the brick size of your flat wall pieces, which you can scale, and your gable pieces, which you can't. So that's kind of annoying. It would be cool if you could scale those wall pieces. And then same with the roofs, like a lot of the roof pieces, the textures just look too big, and with the most recent version of the scaling mod, you can now scale grid pieces, so that allows you to scale roof pieces down, and it just makes so many of the roof pieces look so much better. Like, it's crazy how much better they look. And now that we can rotate them as well, it just like opens up so many of the roof pieces to be so much more usable. So yeah, that's like right up at the top of my list of things I want. Probably my next biggest thing that I'd really like is either for stations to all have an option like the kiddie coaster that doesn't have any air gates on the platform, or for us to have an option to kind of just make the air gates invisible. Or yeah, I don't know, we've got to do something about these massive station platforms. Like, I know that we're like nearly 2 years into the game at this point. It feels very unlikely that they're going to make any kind of large systemic change to station platforms because it's going to mess with so many people's, you know, workshop files, and they're not going to change the existing stations, I don't think. But I could see an option to make, you know, the entry gates invisible, or give us a station option for future coasters, like I said, where we can use the kiddie coaster station platform that's like 2 meters wide and it doesn't have any gates or anything on it. Like, if we could just have that on every coaster type, that would be amazing. Yeah, what else have I got on my list here? Custom media screen. Yeah, like a custom media screen, like a billboard, that is just a flat texture and which takes alpha channels, so that we could essentially create our own decals. Like, you could load in signs, or yeah, you know, any kind of gritty decal texture or anything really, just like a flat billboard texture that has an alpha channel so that it can be transparent. That would be absolutely mega. And then I know many of us have also been asking for ages about like the idea of kind of, you know, swappable textures on the art shapes. Like, if all the materials in the game that existed could just be added onto an art shape, like you could take the brick wall texture and put it onto an art shape, or you could take the like resort kind of plastery material and put that on an art shape. That would be amazing. I know that they kind of added some pieces a bit like this in the Parades pack, but we don't have the full art shape set. They don't go as small with the scaling. Like, it's kind of the classic Frontier compromise where it's like 1 step in the direction that we want, or 2 steps in the direction we want, and 1 step back, where it's like you can kind of have textured art shapes, but not really. So yeah, I'd still just really like to see something like that. I understand that maybe from their perspective it's kind of undercutting the value of custom scenery if they just give us super customizable art shapes. Anybody could just make anything they want, and then maybe there's less value in custom scenery. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that and there's some far simpler reason for why they haven't done it. And then the last thing on my list here, which is actually should be higher up the list, is just the LOD situation, which everybody knows. We've all been banging on about it basically since the game came out. The LODs are just a mess. Like, I understand that they want to keep the game very optimized, but it's just it feels like at a certain point it's like past optimized and there's something broken going on. Because with a lot of the trees, for example, people have discovered that there's like a mod for the trees that you don't see unless you're basically inside the tree. So like the highest quality, like you're never seeing the highest quality model, because as soon as you're like a meter away from the tree, at which point you're still basically inside the tree, like it's down to the next level. And then, as I'm sure you've witnessed with a lot of the models in the game, like as you're pulling away from them, you're standing like 5-10 meters away from the model and you're already just seeing like the jankiest, most like decimated version of it. So yeah, I don't know what they can do about that really. I sort of assume that they don't want to mess with the LODs too much because of optimization and everything, but I don't know, yeah, it'd be really nice to have like an option in the menu that's just like, especially for filming and taking screenshots and stuff, or for anyone who's just got an absolute beast of a PC, a toggle in the menu that just locks all the LODs to be like the level 0 LOD would be incredible. Just like a toggle in the menu. I know it's like so rich for me to just sit here and be like, just add a toggle in the menu. Like, I'm sure it's not that simple. But yeah, these LODs, they've got to do something about these LODs. And I say that, they're probably not going to do anything about it, but it would just be so nice. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to yap about in this video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Make sure you go and check out Oki's channel. As I said, thank you as always for watching. I very much appreciate it. We'll be back soon with some more Steve Town, some more Jardin Magique, and the last episode of Silver Sands will be coming up very soon. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye!